Hi YouTube, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Today's video is not specifically geared towards knives, but it does have an awful lot to do with making knives and using knives. Today is on hearing protection. You know, as a knife maker, man, I pretty much live with earplugs. It just you know, just part of the cost of doing business. You know, as a knife maker, it's earplugs and it's safety glasses and it's a respirator, you know, most of the day. You know, some days I might not need ear protection all day long, some days I might not need a respirator all day long, but there's an awful lot of days where I'm living in, you know, earplugs and a respirator. On the other hand, using knives, you know, you guys know I'm a big hunter, and so an awful lot of hunting involves firearms, and you know, those can be very, very loud, and so we need to protect our hearing, otherwise, you know, we won't be able to hear for very much longer. So the other day I went on a dove hunt with a good buddy of mine. First time I'd ever gone dove hunting before, and it was pretty cool. In fact, I think those were the first birds that I ever actually killed with a shotgun. I mean, I've killed birds before, wild turkey, blue grouse, can't remember the other kind of name of grouse. I haven't killed very many of them, but honestly I usually shoot them with a rifle. Here in Wyoming you can shoot turkeys with a rifle, and I'm a rifleman, so that's what I always did. So anyway, so he invited me to go dove hunting with him. So I did, and the way we did it was he had a pond, and we're sitting on the edge of the pond, and as the doves come in, you know, we harvested them. Well, in between the doves coming in, you know, we're just sitting there chatting about, you know, everything that two guys chat about while they're waiting for something to come along, you know, so that we can shoot it. In that situation, these work out awesome, okay? In a hunting scenario, these type of earplugs right here, these are, if you can't see it, Safariland Pro Impulse Hearing Protection. Okay, these are absolutely incredible, but these are mostly for hunting for me. Okay, so if you don't know about these are they're an earplug that goes into your ear, but they've got like a little one-way valve in them, so normal sounds come through, but very quick, loud impulse sounds activate that little valve and they get blocked. Okay, whereas regular old foam earplugs, which these are the ones that I use day in, day out, all the time, these just block out everything. All right, there's a couple of, and I looked through the YouTube to see reviews on these, and there's an awful lot of confusion, I think, as to how these work and where their sweet spot is. Okay, so these, like I said, they're an impulse type hearing protection deal. So I would never wear these here in the shop, you know, where there's loud noises all the time, and some of those loud noises aren't very quick. So like an electric motor going, okay, it's kind of got a startup, and it's not a fast impulse, okay, like snapping of fingers or a gunshot, something like that. So in the shop, I would totally always use foam earplugs. If I'm going to go to a concert or something like that, not that I go to very many of those, I'm much more of a turn the radio on kind of guy, but my wife likes to go to them. So, you know, sometimes we go to a music concert here during Cheyenne Frontier Days. There again, I would not really use these because that's the noise is different. It's not a very fast impulse noise. It's more of a, you know, continuing type of noise. So any kind of continuing type of noise, use your earplugs. If you're running or your foam earplugs. If you're running a chainsaw, if you're you know, working on an engine that's got a, you know, really loud exhaust system, or you know, running a saw or a grinder, or, you know, any of that kind of stuff, or around heavy machinery. I used to be a plant operator, so and before that I worked on a seismic vessel as a ship's engineer, so, you know, I'm no stranger to continuous loud noise. That's where these are. Now we'll get into these right here. These things are the greatest things since sliced bread for hunting. All right, if you're using them while you're hunting, which for the most part, when you're hunting, things should be fairly quiet, and then all of a sudden that quiet is interrupted by loud, gunshots. So I recently learned how to do the Form 1 silencer builds. You guys know I've got an old South Bend metal lathe, and I have been pretty much ever since I built my first silencer for a 22 long rifle. As amazing as those things are, I've been building them for, I think I've built 3 or 4 of them now, mostly for small game and varmint type rifles, or predator control, or things like that. And they are freaking awesome. But they're also heavy, and they're put right on the muzzle of your rifle, and so they change the balance of your rifle considerably. And I'm not aware of anybody that's really making all that great ones for shotguns either. So if you can't silence your rifle, use these. Now, if you read the specs on these, they've got a noise reduction rating of 13 decibels all the time. Okay, and then the impulse, or they call it the peak impulse reduction, I'm reading the back of the thing here on the instructions, is a 33 decibel. I believe these foam earplugs, they're like a 30, 31, 33, somewhere like that all the time. So these offer really good hearing protection when they're activated. Now, the really cool thing about these is that when I put these in right here, it really dampens my hearing. Okay, so this, a 33, I looked this up just before I started this video so that I can tell you. So the decibel rating on sound is not linear, okay? So it's not like, 33 and 13. Well, 33 is about twice 13, so 33 would be twice as much hearing protection as 13. It doesn't work like that. On the mdhearingaid.com website, it says for every increase of 3 dBA, that's decibels, the sound intensity doubles, okay? So a sound that is 6 dBA is twice as loud as a sound that is 3 dBA. And in here they have a chart of different sounds. So we'll go through that right quick. So a sound that is 10 dBA is normal breathing, all right? A sound that is 140 dBA is fireworks or gunshots. Now in there, that can be a huge difference, okay? So a gunshot could be a 22 rimfire, which, a lot of guys shoot that without hearing protection, even the supersonic types. And that can also be like a 338 or a 300 Winchester or Weatherby Magnum. Huge difference in between the two of them, right? As an aside, I don't really mess around with the Magnums anymore, with the exception of a 338 Win Mag. I've got one of those, and honestly, it's not even really considered a Magnum anymore in that kind of class. Pretty much my Magnums, I sold them all off. I mean, anytime you're burning more than 40, 50 grains of powder, your noise level and your muzzle blast increases exponentially. And you don't need, I don't need anymore, those big Magnums to go deer hunting or antelope or even elk. I'm going to go elk hunting here in about a month, and I'm going to be carrying a 308 Winchester, just a regular old 308 Winchester with a 165 grain spear boat tail, soft point boat tail, and I want to say like 44 grains of IMR 4064. Great cartridge, great bullet, easy on the shoulder, fairly easy on the ears. I've killed, 3 or 4 or 5 elk with it, something like that, and not a single elk, that bullet has never bounced off of a single elk, even though it's not a Magnum. So normal breathing is 10, gunshots can be 140. Since this is a 13 decibel, so it would be somewhere in between normal breathing at 10 and leaves rustling or a ticking watch at 20, all right? With these in, I can still hear my footsteps, All right, I can still hear the wind. I can still hear most twigs breaking. Pretty much these, you can't really hardly tell that they're in there, you know, after, you know, say 10 minutes of wearing them. Now 30 on here, these go to 33, which is a whisper and a refrigerator in a quiet office, which I'm not really too sure that I can kind of explain that part. I mean, I don't know if this is 30, if this is you know, a 33 reduction, which would be you take 33 off of like the 140. But what I can tell you is that when I went dove hunting the other day, I could hear my buddy just fine while we were talking, even talking in hushed tones. And neither one of us have got that great a hearing. But then when, you know, when either one of us shot, I heard the shot, but it wasn't uncomfortable at all. At the end of our hunt, I think I shot like 30 times. So I shot a 12 gauge 30 times, now with a target load, but still shot 30 times. And when I was done, in about an hour and a half or so, when I was done, I pulled the earplugs out and there was no ringing, no discomfort in my ears at all. Just like I hadn't even shot all those rounds as far as my ears were concerned. So in a hunting situation, now I even use these anymore when I go deer hunting. I put them in, you know, the second I leave the truck, and honestly, I still hear things just fine. But then when the gun goes off, I don't have that ringing in my ears afterwards. Yeah, even when so your environment makes an awful lot of difference in your sound or your sound perception, right? I think the last hunt that I did not wear these when I was deer hunting was with my boy. We were up mule deer hunting, and it was one of his finest hunts ever, I thought. I think I got a video on that. But we had spotted a couple of deer, and so we kind of made a stalk up on them, and we kind of got nestled into a boulder pile. And since there was two of us, and we both, you know, both had tags, and the deer were bedded down over there, we kind of got up in, there wasn't a whole lot of trees, but there was these boulders. So we kind of got in behind these boulders. There was a boulder behind us. There was a tall one, you know, it was probably 6, 8, 10 foot tall, something like that. In front of us, there was a shorter boulder. It was probably 3 or 4 foot tall, you know, and wide enough that both of us could hide behind it, right? So I think he was above me, and I was kind of on a, you know, about a foot or two difference, something like that. We both had our muzzles, we were resting our rifles on the boulder, well, on our hands on the boulder. So our muzzles were overhanging, you know, on the other side of the boulders. He was shooting a 7x57 Mauser with 150 grain bullet, ballistic tip going like 2,750 feet a second. And I want to say that load uses like 47 grains, I think, of IMR 4350. I mean, don't quote me on these, but just kind of give you an idea of how much powder they were shooting. And I was shooting a 270 with 130 grain spear boat tail spire point, and I think that load uses like 50 grains of powder, something like that. Now, I've shot those loads before, like out in the prairie, without hearing protection, and the 1 or 2 shots that you use while you're hunting, honestly, it's not really all that uncomfortable. You know, if you're in the prairie, you're surrounded by dirt. Dirt absorbs sound really, really well. The sound doesn't bounce off of it all that much. So when that sound goes and hits the dirt, it doesn't bounce back to you. It just hits the dirt kind of absorbs it, you know, and that's it. Rocks, on the other hand, will bounce sound right back to you. It's like being in, you know, in a metal building or something like that, you know, and the sound just bounces, you can hear it all over the place. Well, those rocks, when we touched off, because he shot, and I looked and I couldn't see where his was going, but then he told me it was down, and so I said, okay, and then I picked a nice older doe and dropped her. So we shot 2 shots, and man, my ears were ringing for 3 or 4 hours after that. The way that sound was bouncing off that rocks was was rough. It was after that I went looking for something like this, and I looked at the electronic ones. Me and batteries just don't really get along. It seems like they're always dead when I need them, especially something like this when you wouldn't use it, you know, year round. So this is straight up mechanical. So there are no batteries to lose or to you know, not be charged up when you want them, and they're just freaking awesome. So this set right here, I bought it just so that I could show you guys on the video, and then this set right here stays clipped to my binoculars. They come in this really cool screw top cylinder. And that's all they look like. And then the little valve part is that red thing in there. Make sure that you put it, I put these in to where that tab is kind of towards the front, because they go in pretty deep and you want to be able to grab that tab to pull it out. They come with two different size, they come with two valves and then four of the valve holders. In fact, we'll just go ahead and open this up. If I can get the thing open here. There we go. So they come with the holder. And then the little red valves are installed in one set. And then the other set is just a different size. And I don't really know, oh, I must use the, so I just put them in and whichever one felt the most comfortable. Yeah, that's the large size. And it's not wanting to stay in my ear as well as the smaller size is. So what I'll do is I'll just, well, I guess we can do it right here. So you just kind of squeeze this, and with a fingernail you pull that little valve out, and that's all there is to it. I'm going to set of tweezers here. I can hold that for you. That's all that little valve is. So then you take that little valve and you put it into the end of the other side, or other size, and in it goes. And yep, that's the small size, and that's the size that that fits me good. And then you put the things in a little container, and then you know, put it wherever you're not going to lose it. So as much as I love these things now, I'm carrying two. I'm going to carry one pair on my binoculars and one pair in my pack, along with you know, an extra couple of pair of the little foamies, just in case I'm taking somebody hunting and they forgot their hearing protection. You know, because once you lose it, I guess you can't get it back, and it's a whole lot easier to you know, wear something like this, unless you really like saying, huh, what, can you repeat that, you know, and just smiling and nodding when you can't understand what somebody's saying. So again, no, cost. These things are like $17 at Walmart. For what they are, and as long as you use them in their, you know, in their, that niche where they work great, which for me is hunting, these things are absolutely worth every penny of that $17 at Walmart. So again, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. Visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.